Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1. You will hear a telephone conversation between a woman and a man who works for a holiday company about a holiday she would like to go on. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
Holidays for you. Sean speaking. Can I help you?
Oh, hi. I've been looking at your website. I'm interested in a cycling holiday in Austria in April.
We have 2 trips in April. One lasts 14 days and the other 10 days.
I think the 10-day trip is better. So let's see. I've got a calendar here. What are the dates?
Well, that trip is in the middle of the month. It starts on the 17th of April and it finishes on the 27th.
That suits me. I can't leave work before the 10th of April.
Let me see if there are any spaces. Is it just for yourself?
Myself and my sister, so 2 of us.
Yes, we have spaces.
Is it a big group?
At the moment, there are 12 people booked on this trip, and with you 2, that will be 14. The maximum number is 16, so it's almost fully booked. We can't go over that because it's hard to keep a larger group together.
I need to check that I'm fit enough for this, but the distances look okay. The website says we'll ride approximately 45 kilometres a day. Is that right?
That's correct, and I've got the exact distances here. It really depends on which part of the trip. Some days are only 35 kilometres, and some are more, but you'll never have to cycle more than 50 kilometres in one day.
Oh, okay. I can manage that. And we stay in hotels?
Yes, they all have restaurants, and the rooms have ensuite facilities.
And do they have pools? It's how I relax after a long day.
There is a swimming pool in a few of the hotels, but none of them has a gym.
I don't think we'll need a gym after all that cycling. I'd better find out how much the holiday costs before I get too excited.
Including flights, it's £1,177 for one person.
Oh, we'll book our own flights on the internet.
That's just £1,013 then. And we can book insurance for you if you want.
And which meals are included in that price?
Well, breakfast, of course, and the hotels will provide you with a packed lunch each day. We do stop during the afternoon in a village somewhere for a rest, so any snacks you buy then are extra. Then dinner will be in the hotel every evening, and that's included in the price of the holiday.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
And you provide the bicycles, of course. What else?
A lock and a bell come with the bike, as well as lights, although you shouldn't need to cycle in the dark. There's a small bag, or pannier, on the front of the bike, where you can put the things you want to take with you during the day, like water or fruit. But we won't allow you to cycle unless you bring a helmet. We don't provide these locally because, like walking boots on a walking holiday, it's really important it fits properly.
OK.
If there's any special gear you need for your holiday, we recommend a particular website, and you can get a discount by quoting your booking reference.
Great. What is it?
It's www.ballantine.com. That's all one word, and I'll spell it for you. www.ballantine.com.
Good. I've got that down. I've been looking at your website while we've been talking. I see we cycle along the River Danube.
Yes, it's one of Europe's most well-known areas for cycling.
It looks fascinating. Lots of beautiful countryside and things to see.
I should warn you that we do reserve the right to make some alterations to the route if the weather is bad. Some of the tracks sometimes get very muddy.
OK. Well, hopefully it won't rain too much. I know we stop in towns and villages, but do we get a chance to look around? Because I'm really interested in history.
Oh, yes, you get opportunities to explore. Is there something in particular you want to see?
There's a theatre in a town called Grine. A friend of mine went there last year and said it was amazing.
Let's see. Yes, there's a guide who'll take you round the building. We don't have any other tours arranged, but you can visit several castles and museums on the holiday.
Well, thank you for all that information. I'd like to book that then.
Right. Well, I'll just...
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear someone talking on the radio about food and restaurants in the local area. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 14.
And now we have our Know Your Town section, where we look at what's on offer in our area. Today, John Munro is going to tell us about local food and eating out. John.
Well, most of us buy our food in supermarkets these days, but we're very lucky having a wonderful market here. It was originally on the piece of land in front of the cathedral, but at the beginning of the 20th century, it was moved to a site by the river. When the new shopping centre was built in the 1960s, it found a home beneath the multi-storey car park, where it still is, but there are plans to move it back to its previous home by the river. The market is now open 6 days a week. On Tuesday to Saturday, you can buy fresh fruit and vegetables, meat and cheese from the area, as well as a whole range of imported produce. But if you come on a Sunday, you'll find a different market, where craftspeople sell what they have made, things like bags, cards, clothes. During the week, there are a few stalls selling more everyday utensils like saucepans and cleaning products alongside the fruit and vegetables. as well as one new stall selling antique furniture, which is proving to be very popular. People often ask what our local dish is. As we're by the sea, they expect it to be some kind of fish recipe. Our fish is good, of course, but there isn't one particular dish that stands out. What we do have is an apple cake that isn't really made anywhere else. There's a new cafe in the high street, Barton's, which bakes them fresh every morning and serves them with delicious homemade ice cream in a choice of flavours. Now, the harbour is obviously the place to buy fresh fish. Every morning there's a stall where local fishermen sell a selection of the day's catch before the rest goes to London or abroad. They've been doing that for as long as anyone can remember, of course, but the harbour itself looks very different from a few years ago. Most of the restaurants used to be at the far end, but that part was redeveloped and the restaurants had to relocate to the other end. Many of them are simply the old ones in new premises, but a couple of new ones have opened recently, so there's a good range now, both in the harbour and the town itself. I'm now going to give you my top 6 places to eat in different parts of the town.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
So, number 1 for me is Merivale's, which is in one of the busiest parts of the town leading down to the harbour. It's in a side street, so it doesn't look out over the water, but it's very close, so you can take a walk after your meal and find one of the cafes with live music. At Merivale's, you can enjoy delicious fresh fish and seafood. The friendly staff offer very attentive service and a really enjoyable evening. The Lobster Pot is on the main road going down to the harbour, so it also misses out on the sea view, but the food makes up for that. It serves a huge range of fish and seafood, as well as vegetarian and meat dishes, so there's something for everyone. Prices are from mid-range to fairly expensive, so it's really only for a special occasion. Elliot's is in the city centre and is a very upmarket restaurant in the evening, but during the day it serves lunch and coffee. It's on the 20th floor above some offices, and it's a great place to sit for a while, as you can see most of the city spread out from there. It does get very busy though, and you may have to wait to be served. Not far from the city centre is the Cabin, which is on the canal bank. You can't park your car there. It's a 15-minute walk from the nearest car park, but it's very peaceful. A good place to relax away from the traffic. It's not cheap, but it's an ideal place for a long lunch. The Olive Tree is a family-run restaurant in the city centre offering beautifully prepared Greek dishes. It's well known locally and very popular. Service can be slow when it's busy, as all the food is freshly made. There's plenty of room, and on Friday and Saturday nights, the wooden floors resound with live music and dancing, which is certainly worth going for. The last place I want to recommend has only just opened in a converted school building. The old school restaurant has been very cleverly renovated. The use of mirrors, plants and the colours on the walls makes you feel as though you're in a large garden instead of the city centre. There are only a few dishes on the menu, but they change every day. So, Tanya,
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a conversation between two teachers who are making plans for the new semester. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Hi, Hannah. How's it going? Are you finding your way around?
Yes, slowly. It'll take a while before I've met everyone and I've got the hang of things.
You'll be fine in a few days. It just takes time. So, for today, let's just go over the basics. Now, you've already got the syllabus for the semester.
Yes, I got that from... I think her name is Maureen? The coordinator for the department?
Yes, and remember that the syllabus isn't set in stone. We can make alterations to suit our students, but you'll have to tell her about any alterations we make so she can put it in the records. For example, if we see that our students need more work with writing, we can add some supplementary material.
Okay, fine. So, what about assessment? Do we design our own tests?
No, you don't need to worry about that. But we do need to design a written assignment task for them. When the time comes, you can find examples from past years in the secretary's office.
Oh, the secretary. That's Paul, isn't it? I met him earlier today.
No, Paul is our assistant classroom coordinator, and he can give you a hand with finding the books and supplies. The secretary is a young man named Jason. You may not have met him yet. He has a small office near the door just over there. It's really too small, because it's very crowded with stuff. Can you see all those filing cabinets?
Oh, yes. I was wondering about those.
That's his office. Those cabinets contain all of our previous papers, test results, student assessments, and things like that.
I'll introduce myself when I see him later on.
Yes, he's really nice. Okay, so we have your attendance list here. Let's see. Good. It looks like you'll have a really nice group. William usually does the class lists. He's very good at it. I see you have about 10 new students. So you'll have to make sure that they receive the orientation materials and know the basics about the school, where things are, who to go to for help.
Yes, I was told that I should speak to, Kelly about that. Is that right?
That's right. She's in charge of pastoral care, and she'll make sure you have everything you need to pass on to the new students. I think she'll give you a copy of some stuff for yourself, too, like maps of the school and a timetable.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
The syllabus itself doesn't have firm dates for assessment and tests and homework, so I think it's a good idea to hash some of that out today while we're both here.
Yeah, for sure. I imagine that we'll have to give the students some sort of introduction in the first week.
Yes, you'll give them the course overview on the first day, and that includes information about what they will be doing when and the due dates for all their assignments.
Okay. So how many assignments are there?
2, though we also do some quizzes in class. But before the first assessment, we always give the students a chance to ask questions and ask for help if they need it. So in week 4, we need to schedule brief one-to-one progress meetings.
Do we do this in class time?
Yep. It'll actually only take a morning. You spend about 10 minutes with each student while the others are doing self-directed study. But we want to make sure that the first assignment is due a week or 2 afterwards. Ideally, they will have started that before the meeting.
So what do you suggest? Week 5 for the first research report due date?
Maybe week 6 is better, right in the middle of the semester.
Okay. So do we meet them again individually once we've graded their assignments?
Not exactly. We will meet with them again, but later in the semester, just to give them some feedback and suggestions for improvement if needed. It's best done a bit later, a few weeks before the final exam.
Which is week 12, right?
Yes. It's in the last week of the semester, but not on the Friday. It's usually on the Thursday. We usually try to keep the last day free for a class activity, to let the students unwind a bit after the exam.
Sounds fun. The weather should be nice by then too. Maybe a picnic outside.
Yes. Or we can even take them out to an event or an attraction. Last year we went to the aquarium just down the road.
So, how about the marking of the exam?
Well, we usually take one day in the week following the final test, usually the Monday or Tuesday, to grade the exams. We all come in and grade the papers together in the common room. That way, if we have a question about a certain answer or grade, we can get advice from each other.
That's a great idea. It'll really help me as I'm doing it for the first time.
Yes, even people like me who've been doing it for years find it helpful.
I see here on the syllabus that the students can't access their results online until week 15. That's 3 weeks after the exam. That's rather a long time to wait.
Well, it's actually the week before that when the students receive their final marks. But we don't enter them onto the computer until the following week because we want to make sure they're correct.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a talk on the topic of driverless cars. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Hello everyone. Today's talk is about motor vehicle technology of the future, and in particular about driverless cars. So first, what is a driverless car? This is not a simple question, and the British automotive industry has set 5 levels of driver control on the route to truly autonomous vehicles. Level 0, or driver-only, cars are what most of us are operating right now. By that I mean we control the car by operating the pedals and the steering. And if we lose concentration or fall asleep, we're in big trouble. However, our current Level 0 cars already contain sophisticated mega computers. Did you know? There are over 70 small pieces of software in your car. They control the accelerator, the brakes, and lots more. But yes, you have to press the pedals, but after that the software takes over to actually operate the vehicle. Okay, so now level 1 or assisted cars are already on the market. So what's different about these cars? They tend to have computer-controlled assistance for parallel parking or electronic braking systems. Some companies are also making level 2 or partially automated cars. They have functions like adaptive cruise control and lane keeping. They can change their speed to match the car in front of them, so they can operate in heavy traffic. However, drivers still need to monitor carefully and be ready to take over if necessary. Now, note that higher levels are not yet available for commercial sale, but level 3 or conditional automation vehicles will in theory be able to perform highway driving without the need for input from you, the driver. Well, not totally. They might need to ask the driver to take over in difficult situations, giving sufficient notice so that he or she is ready to resume control. So you can't go to sleep. So, what's the next step in this gradual process of developing automated vehicles? Yes, level 4, or high automation vehicles. These cars may not have pedals or a steering wheel at all. Can you imagine that? They will be restricted to city environments, but in other ways are not so different from level 5 cars, which will be fully automated in all situations. In this science fiction future, the driver may get into a vehicle, program it, and then sip coffee, sleep, or check the internet while the car propels him safely to his destination. Well, of course, there's intense competition among the automotive industry to be the first to produce and test a workably robotically controlled car. But these cars are nowhere near ready for open road driving. They can only operate on roads that have been extensively computer mapped, and they're very inflexible at dealing with anything unexpected, like new stop signs, for example. Let's see. Other technological issues for some models include problems with operating in some weather conditions, such as rain and snow. However, many insiders agree that these problems will eventually be solved, and that the biggest hurdle is getting the driving public to accept the idea. UK and US surveys in 2012 showed that somewhere between 37 to 49% of people would be comfortable owning one of these cars. However, at this time, only 22% of Germans were positive and 24% were hostile about the idea. A more recent international survey in 2015 indicated that 33% would like to own an autonomous vehicle, but most respondents still wanted to be in control of their car. Right, so another issue for the consumer is cost, though this could be offset to some extent because of lower insurance premiums. People may be nervous about autonomous cars, but, the facts speak for themselves. It's estimated that 90% of all car crashes are caused by drivers making mistakes. In 2014, in the USA alone, nearly 33,000 people died in cars. Driverless cars could hugely reduce that number. Some people estimate a 99% reduction in car accidents, but that would require 100% of cars to be robot-controlled. So what about the transition period? After all, whenever it begins, this change can't happen overnight. For many years, both human and computer-controlled vehicles will share our roads. Motorway driving is relatively predictable, but as we know, most cars are driven in complex situations in crowded cities. Even human drivers struggle to make split-second decisions in these situations. How can a driverless car be programmed to deal with crazy driving? But what's the biggest dilemma? It's an ethical one. How can we program a driverless car to make a choice in cases where an accident is inevitable? Should the car be programmed to choose the lowest number of injuries, or to protect its driver first? This issue is not trivial, and it could cause a big delay in the introduction of the new technology. Nevertheless, this change will surely come. The potential advantages are just too great. As well as slashing the road toll, the cars will potentially minimize road congestion, because robot cars will be able to travel much faster and closer together than we do on our current road networks. Eventually, this will reduce driving time and thus increase our productivity. Fuel costs will fall with more efficient consumption patterns, but I suspect driving won't be as much fun.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.